Greetings and welcome to Pinball Help. Mike here. As you can see, I have JAWS working. I'm going to show you what I did and talk about the last little bits of things that I needed to do to get this working. You'll see I got a little flickery light there. I'm going to have to fix that. But first things first, let's get this game opened up. All right, here we go, the underside of the game here. As you can see, in the last video, I had replaced the node board and I was still having some issues with the game, but I fixed a lot of the other stuff. So let's go over what was going on and what I have learned since then, and I'll share it with you. So the node board went out, and let me show you what it looks like on the underside if you haven't seen the previous video. Look at the corrosion. Something really nasty happened on this board. And you can see there was some kind of corrosion that ate into different parts of the board and caused it to fail. It took out one of the coils, and this driver transistor literally just blew up. And so replacing that brought everything back to life, with the exception of some other stuff. And the reason why some other stuff didn't work, and I want to have a big shout out to Kyle over there at Tech Support at Stern. Really very, very knowledgeable, very responsive people that not only want to help you, but they want to make you understand how the game works. There's not enough documentation on how the node boards interoperate. There may be some video stuff, but I haven't found a whole lot of printed material on it. So I'm still learning. I'm still trying to gather. Kyle was very helpful in explaining logistically how everything interrelates, and I'm going to share with you what he told me, which makes a lot of sense. So with these Spike 2 systems, there is not a switch matrix. There's not an array of wires. It's much easier to diagnose switch problems and controlled lighting problems because they're all on what's called a bus, right? So with this new system, you have one single communications line that goes through the entire game, and that communications line carries data on how to control coils, on the status of switches, as well as the status of lights, turning lights on and off. So this one data bus does everything. Now, the way it works is the main line are these RJ45 kind of network style connectors going to and from each major node board. But there's another secondary serial bus that connects all of these little boards. So you have your node board there, that's node board 8, and it controls X number of coils and stuff like that. And then you have node board 9. This is like an extra one. This is the one that went out. Now, a node board, that you can communicate with the node board, and then the node board can connect directly to coils and to switches and to other stuff. But a node board can also daisy chain to another sub node board. And that's what these things are. These are like mini boards, but they're all slaves of a particular node board. So this is node board 8, and it connects to some other boards, and they will be at 8A, 8B, 8C. Same thing down here with node board 9. So while node board 9 only controlled like 3 or 4 coils, it did control a whole bunch of lighting stuff. And we can see, so the main network goes into this board, and then this right here, this connector, these purple ones right here, there's 2 on the far end. That is a serial bus in and out on the board. So here you see it goes out. Where does it come in? I don't know exactly what the order is, but I think it comes into this. So this would be node 9A, and then it goes out to node board 9B, then it goes out to 9C, then it goes out to 9D, E, and one of them goes to somewhere. It goes into this board too, which controls the optos, and then here's it goes into the motor control board. I don't know in what order. But everything that went out was on the communications bus downstream of node 9. So when I called tech support to find out whether or not I needed to get some new boards, the guy said, it sounds like it could be a communications problem, so you should try this before anything else. Check all your cables, reseat them. And of course, when I got down in here, I realized there was one plug that I hadn't plugged in, this one right here, this communications plug. And this carries the serial port line to some of these other boards, and that is what made other things stop working. It was something as simple as a cable that was unplugged. But this can also just happen randomly if something gets wonky on a cable. So if you find that a portion of the game has gone out, you want to look at what the node board is, and then you want to look at the diagram like you'll see here. There's node 9, and then it connects over here to this one, and then to this one, and then to this one, and then to this one. So you can see the little dotted lines are all the serial connector cables. So if a connection is broken anywhere along this chain, chances are anything after it is going to be non-responsive and non-functional. So once you know the order of these boards, 9A is a LED board, LED board, LED board. Then there's the shark fin serial motor driver board, and there's a topper here if it was connected. So we can see that the shark fin board and the motor driver board are at the very end of the chain. So if there was any disruption in that serial line connection from board to board, it's going to affect the motor. So the motor and the board wasn't out, it was the serial connection to it. Also, I've been told that these things don't necessarily need to have fuses, they have overcurrent protection. So the game will sense if there's too much current going to a particular coil, and it will shut it down. So they are smarter than typical system. So that's why it was kind of unusual for that coil to blow. It was the board actually malfunctioning and not the coil being, having an error. So there you have it. I got the game back up and working, and it seems to be running fine. These little interconnect cables, though, can sometimes be a problem, which makes me want to make a longer version of this so that if I do run into issues, I could probably jump from one board to another board just to see. I'm curious if they have to be in a particular sequential order, or these boards are serialized, and when they're connected into the data stream, they know what they're supposed to be. I don't know. This is a question that I would probably ask. If you know, answering the questions. But let's say you got some boards that are out. Could you jump over one of the boards that's out to see if the ones after it are still working? I don't know. But obviously, cracked solder joints or pins or bad connections on any of these Trifucon things between them can cause stuff to happen. Kind of like an old style Christmas light. If one of the lights goes out, everything after the lights stops working. So that's kind of the way all these work. It's very modular. It's very easy to service. It may not be user serviceable with some of these small surface mount things, but I can see why they did it. It's certainly a lot easier to deal with than, say, the old switch matrix where you had diodes and you had ghost things happening you had to try to diagnose. So it's definitely nicer in that respect. So there you have it. And work is going to continue. It's funny, though, I just did a video about how I have a history of not getting good support from Jersey Jack, and I certainly cannot say that about Stern. And I'm not paid by anybody to say that, but their tech support team is top notch. They sent me out a new node board for free. They were very, very cool about it. And I don't even know if they know that when I was talking to them, I'm the Pinball Help video guy. I don't even know if they know that. I'm just another guy to them, and they were really cool about it. So thanks to Stern, and thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe. And until next time.